Welcome to The Explainer. We're diving straight into something super critical today. Look, remote work, it's amazing. Total game changer for flexibility. But unfortunately, it's also opened the floodgates for some incredibly sophisticated scams. So we're walking through the remote career security blueprint. The goal here is simple. Arm you with exactly what you need to spot and dodge these remote job scams from a mile away. We're going to break down their playbook piece by piece so you can hunt for that next gig with absolute confidence.
But hey, before we get into the nuts and bolts of how these scams actually work, I want you to ask yourself a seriously tough question. Is that dream job actually real? I mean, think about it. You've been scrolling, applying, and bam, you finally find a listing that promises incredible flexibility, a killer title, and, fantastic pay. It feels like the perfect next step for your livelihood and your professional identity. But is it a golden opportunity, or is it a trap just waiting to spring? The stakes here are high, folks. Knowing the difference could literally save you from major financial loss and just a ton of emotional stress.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here's our roadmap for The Explainer today. 1. The remote scam epidemic. 2. Spotting fake job listings. 3. Red flags during interviews. 4. The final trap. And 5. Protecting your remote career.
Section 1. The remote scam epidemic. So here's the harsh reality. Highly motivated remote job seekers are unfortunately uniquely vulnerable targets. Why does this matter? Well, because scammers are absolute master manipulators of human emotion. They know exactly how badly you want this. They know you're craving that flexibility, ditching the commute, getting that autonomy, and they prey right on that excitement. When we're eager, we kind of tend to let our guard down. We want the opportunity to be real so badly that we just brush past the warning signs. That's the exact psychological blind spot they are counting on.
Section 2. Spotting fake job listings.
Look closely here, because there's just a glaring contrast between a real, legitimate company and a scammer's sloppy setup. On the left, a true professional operation has clear grammar, emails from official company domains, verified physical addresses, active social media, and actual business phone numbers you can call. But check out that right column. This is where we hit red flags 3, 4, and 7. Notice the unprofessional communication, right? Like poor grammar just scattered everywhere. Generic or personal email addresses instead of official domains, fake websites, inactive social media, and absolutely no phone numbers. Guys, when a listing lacks basic professional infrastructure, that is a massive red flag.
Now imagine you see a listing that maybe checks off a couple of those red flags, but then you see this number. $250,000 starting salary for an entry-level part-time remote data entry clerk.
I mean, sure, we'd all absolutely love to pull in a CEO's salary for doing virtually nothing in our pajamas, right? But let's be real here. This is red flag number 5. If they're offering you wildly unrealistic salaries or benefits for very little work, you need to hit pause immediately. Scammers love dangling these flashy, ridiculous numbers as bait, hoping you'll be too blinded by the dollar signs to notice the terrible grammar and the weird Yahoo email address.
Section 3. Red flags during interviews.
So you've applied, and now they reach out. Notice the stark difference in the platforms they use here. On the left, you've got the standard of the modern workplace, legitimate video interviews on established platforms like Zoom or Microsoft Teams. But on the right, informal text-based interviews on apps like WhatsApp or Telegram. This brings us to red flag number 6. The logic here is incredibly straightforward. A real, established company is not going to conduct a serious, professional interview, one that determines your career and salary over a casual text chat app. If your entire interview is just texting back and forth on Telegram, there is a very high chance you are talking to a scammer.
And let's look at how fast this fake process actually moves. I want to walk you through this timeline because it perfectly highlights red flag number 8. Check this out. 9 a.m., you apply for the job. Just 1 hour later, at 10 a.m., boom, you're in a text interview on Telegram. And by 10:15 a.m., 15 minutes later, you've got an immediate job offer. There's no way. Scammers want to pressure you. They want you to accept fast before you can think critically, before you demand a real verification, and definitely before you realize what's happening. Real hiring takes time. Scammers work at warp speed.
Section 4. The final trap.
So the crucial point is this. What exactly are they asking for during this fake onboarding? Once they say you're hired, they are going to immediately demand some highly sensitive stuff. Social security numbers, direct bank account details, sometimes even login credentials. Let me be perfectly clear about red flag number 1.
Legitimate employers will never ask for this kind of exploitable information this early in the process, and definitely not right after a 15-minute text chat. This isn't onboarding, this is identity theft in action.
The other major demand in this final trap, upfront payments. And I really want to drill this number into your mind. $0. Exactly $0 is what you should pay out of your own pocket upfront to secure a job. That's red flag number 2. Scammers will try to convince you to pay for your own training or buy equipment from their approved vendor or cover a background check. Absolutely not. Be incredibly wary of any job asking for upfront fees. A real job pays you, you do not pay them.
Section 5. Protecting your remote career.
All right, so how do we fight back? Your defense strategy really boils down to these quick, simple steps from our blueprint. Step 1, verify the job posting directly on the official company website. Don't just trust a random job board. Go to the source and make sure the role is actually listed. Step 2, avoid sharing personal information too soon. Lock down that social security number and those bank details until you are 100% sure the company's legit. And step 3, like we just said, never, ever pay to secure a job. These 3 simple steps are literally your best defense.
All of this builds into a really strong defensive mindset. This quote right here is basically your ultimate rule of thumb. If something feels off, trust your instincts and research thoroughly. Your brain is actually remarkably good at picking up on those subtle inconsistencies, right? The weird email, the bizarre rush to hire, the sketchy text interview. If your gut is telling you something isn't quite right, listen to it. Pause, take a breath, and do your homework. It is way better to be safe and miss a questionable opportunity than to rush in and become a victim.
We've covered exactly how these scammers operate, the red flags to spot, the danger of that final trap, and the exact steps you need to take to defend yourself. But knowledge is a shield that's meant to be shared. These scammers rely heavily on silence and lack of awareness. So, I'm going to leave you with this final thought. Who in your network is looking for a remote job right now? Who will you share this information with to protect them next? Stay cautious out there, trust your instincts, and let's keep our remote careers secure. Thanks for diving into this explainer with me.